Hi guys, welcome to my best of 2014 beauty products. I'm going to start off with my favourite primer for the year, and it has to be the YSL Matte Touch Oil Free Primer. And I actually mentioned this in my December 2014 favourites, and it is a rediscovery. I've had this for the longest time, but the reason why it's lasted so long is because a little goes a long way. I tend to use it just down the centre of my T-zone just to control the oil and shine, and it's a silicone formula, so it's really lightweight, really smooth, it literally melts onto the skin, and your foundation just literally glides on. And I also find that it helps in kind of smoothing over areas of flaky skin. So in the winter, my skin tends to get really dry, especially around the nose, and when you put foundation on it, it doesn't really sit very well. So I find that putting this underneath foundation just makes everything really smooth. Moving on to foundation, and I have two here. My favourite everyday foundation is the Chanel Vitalumiere Aqua. This is just the perfect everyday foundation. It's just really good at evening out your skin tone, and because it's so lightweight, it still looks really natural, just looks like your skin, but even better. It's got a slightly dewy finish to it, so it makes your skin look really fresh and healthy. If I'm after something with a little bit more coverage, I reach for the Nars Sheer Glow foundation, and this is probably one of the first foundations I've ever tried, and it was literally love at first sight. This really makes your skin look flawless, and whenever I wear this, I always get a lot of compliments on how good my skin looks. Although it is just a recent discovery, I am head over heels in love with it, and it's none other than the Anastasia Brow Wiz. It comes in a screw up waxy pencil formulation, and it's really thin. It really allows you to get in there and draw hairs onto your brows, and it actually looks quite real. It makes your brows look natural and realistic, and it also comes with a spoolie, which is always handy, so I tend to kind of brush my brows before and after applying the product. My favourite eye primer is something I picked up when I was away travelling, and it's the Bodyshop All-in-One Instablur Eye, and it's basically a tinted concealer and primer, and it's got a really funky texture. It looks like souffle, and it's the beigey yellow skin tone colour, and it literally melts into the skin. Just leaves behind a really smooth surface, so you know, when you go to apply on eyeshadow, it just literally glides on. I find that it's also really good for under the eyes as well. So not only does it kind of slightly fill in the fine lines, but it's got a little bit of a tint to kind of brighten up the area. And then if you go in with concealer on top, you know, it's a double whammy, which just makes you look really well rested. I've picked two products for my favourite eye pencil, and the reason being is I like to use an eye pencil to kind of line my waterline, just to make your lash line look a bit thicker. And for that, I love using the Eye of Horus eyeliner, and it's an Australian brand which you can actually buy online. And what I like about this formulation is, compared to other black pencils, this one has the most minimum amount of transfer onto your bottom lash line. And for me, I kind of avoid putting anything or a dark colour on my bottom waterline, because I find it really closes up the eyes and it makes my eyes look smaller. And this is the one that I've found so far to have the least amount of transfer. It's better than a lot of the pencils I have tried. My other favourite kohl liner is the Charlotte Tilbury Rock and Kohl Liquid Eyeliner Pencil. This is in the shade Verushka Mink, which is a really dark slate grey, so it's a great alternative to black. As the name would suggest, it glides on like a liquid, so it's just so easy to apply, and it's really smooth, and it basically lasts all day. And I really love this colour. I think it's such a unique colour. My favourite mascara of the year has to go to Lash King by Majolika Mallorca. and I think it's from Shiseido, and it's the mascara that I picked up when I was in Japan. I did a blog post comparing 5 of Japan's top high street mascaras, and this one came out top. It just gives you amazingly big lashes from the very first coat, and you can apply it as many times you want and it doesn't clump. It builds so well. I'm wearing 2 coats of the mascara now, and I could have easily laid it up to 3 or 4 coats, and which I would normally do if I'm going out. It's a waterproof formulation, so it lasts all day. I just think it gives a lot of fullness to the lashes, a lot of length, and it defines them without giving too much separation and without the clumping. So yeah, I'll be sad when I run out of this, so might need to book another trip to Japan. So for my favourite eyeshadow, I've kind of picked 2 products, and the first one is a eyeshadow stick, and it's the Clinique Chubby Stick Shadow Tint for Eyes in the shade Fuller Fudge. This is such a beautiful colour. It's a brown, but it's a kind of a warm bronzy brown. It's such a nice, soft, smooth formula that you literally just scribble it on your eyes. Either take a blending brush or just your fingers and just smudge it out. The product's so easy to work with, and I find that if I want to get my makeup done quickly and I want something on the eyes but I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, then this is my go-to product. I've actually got it on the eyes right now, and I'm wearing it with by Terry's Ombre Blacks Eye in Brown Perfection, and that's just basically to give it a little more depth, but I really like this colour. My next favourite eye product is actually in this palette that I've kind of put together myself, and it is MAC's Patina eyeshadow, and this is such a unique colour. I don't think I've ever come across a colour like this from any other brand. I describe it as a kind of muted, dirty, cool tone gold. It's probably not the best description for it. I probably haven't sold it very well. It's just one of those colours that you can just pop on your eyes, and it's got a slight duochrome effect to it, so it looks like you've got more than one colour on your eye, depending on the way it catches the light. And it's just a great colour just to wear on the eyelids on its own, or you can pair it with maybe a dark colour just to add a bit more kind of definition and depth. Okay, my favourite concealer for 2014 is the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer, and I'd say it's good for both under eyes and also covering redness and blemishes. For under the eyes, I use the colour Custard because it's just a shade lighter than my skin tone, to make it brighter and make you look more awake. And then for the rest of my face, I use the shade Ginger, and it's great at covering any redness which I tend to get around the nose area, also any blemishes or kind of broken capillaries. It's really creamy and quite thick, but it blends really well. If you set it with some powder, it does really last. So my favourite powder for 2014 has got to be MAC Mineralize Skinfinish. It's a great powder at setting your makeup without looking powdery or cakey or dry. I tend to use the powder just to set my concealer under the eyes, but also down and along my T-zone, just to prevent any shine or any oiliness that may occur during the day, and it makes your makeup last that bit longer too. And I love this compact. This is the newer packaging. I think the original packaging came with a clear lid and no inside mirror, but this does come with a mirror, and I find that it's really handy because you can just carry it around on the go with you in your handbag and just touch up when you need to. My favourite bronzer was quite a tricky one because I've used a few this year, but the one I find that I always come back to and kind of suits me whether I'm tanned or not is the Benefit's Hoola bronzer. It's a matte brown formulation, but it's slightly darker than the likes of Nars Laguna and Marc Jacobs Omega bronzer, and that works really well for me because especially when in the summer or when I go away on holiday and I pick up a tan, I find that the likes of Nars Laguna really struggles to show up on my skin, so then I just kind of reach for Benefit Hoola because I know it will do the job. My favourite contour has to be the Kevyn Aucoin Sculpting Powder in the shade Medium, and I've had a bit of a love-hate relationship with this because when I first got it, I really struggled to get to grips with using the product. It seemed to just create a really big muddy mess on my face, and I think it was down to the brush that I was using. I've since discovered that using it with the Real Techniques duo fiber brush is a revelation. The brush just allows you to pick up the right amount of product and then kind of distribute it on your face without it looking patchy or muddy. And this sculpting powder it might look like an odd colour, but it's actually a great colour for contouring because it's grey toned and it really mimics the colour of your natural shadow. Which is what kind of contouring is all about. Since I've started using it with the Real Techniques Duo Fiber Brush, I am totally in love with it. My favourite blush is none other than the Hourglass Lightening Blush Palette. And in here, I've actually got two favourite shades out of the palette. And it's the first shade, which is called Luminous Blush. And that's more of a kind of a deeper rosy champagne shade, and my other favourite is Mood Exposure, which is kind of like a mauvey toned plummy champagne blush, and this gives a more of a kind of natural colour to the cheeks. It really doesn't interfere with your makeup, but if you're after a bit more of a perky pink blush, then I definitely recommend Luminous Blush. My favourite highlight for the year has got to be Benefit's What's Up, and I mentioned this in my December favourites because it was a rediscovery. With it being winter and skin getting dry and parched, I'm just a little bit obsessed with highlighter at the moment in order to kind of inject that kind of youth and healthy glow to your skin. I really like the creamy formulation because it's really easy to work with. I just tend to rub a little bit on my finger and just kind of tap it and blend it along the tops of my cheekbones and on my brow bone, and it just gives that really nice kind of healthy sheen whenever your skin catches the light. So moving on to my favourite lip products of the year. First up I have my favourite lip glosses, and it's a kind of toss up between Tanya Burr's lip gloss in Aurora and the Clarins Light Natural Lip Perfector. These are just so incredibly pigmented. They're really smooth and feel really soft and buttery on your lips without feeling too tacky at all, and I just kind of alternate between the two. And in terms of my favourite lipsticks, I picked one for every day. The one I tend to kind of reach for without even thinking too much on an everyday basis is MAC Plumful. It's a kind of rosy, plummy tone. This kind of looks like a My Lips but better shade, maybe slightly more on the rosy, plummy side, but yeah, it's a great everyday colour. In terms of a bold lip and what I'm actually wearing right now, it's the Kate Moss Lasting Finish lipstick, and this is in the shade 107. It's like a deep berry, burgundy, winey red shade, and it's matte finish, but it wears really comfortably on the lips. It's not really drying at all. It lasts absolutely ages, especially if you're wearing a lip liner underneath, and it's definitely one of my favourite reds. As much as I love makeup brushes, I think my favourite beauty tool for 2014 has got to be my beauty blender. Who would have thought a sponge would make your foundation or your skin look absolutely flawless? I have to say, sometimes I do get lazy and I can't be bothered to get up and go to the bathroom and run this under the tap to get it damp. So then I just end up picking up my brushes and using them to apply my foundation instead. It definitely pays, and you can see it in the results. My favourite lip balm is one that I have been using for quite a while now. I tend to kind of slap it on before I go to bed, just so it makes my lips kind of nice and plump in the morning, and it's the Nuke's Revved Meal. It kind of looks waxy in the jar, and then when you apply it on your lips, it goes on matte, which is quite unusual, but it feels really nice and nourishing. and yeah, like I said, I love using this before I go to bed. And that's it for my 2014 favourites, and I think I have been talking for the longest time now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Anastasia Brow Wiz, and I finally picked this up, and for the longest time I was using Hourglass's